everyone, this is part 2 on how to make a lesson plan. Thank you for checking out my second video. I really hope you checked out the first one where I spoke about the first part of the lesson plan. So please, if you haven't, please go back, look under my videos and you'll see part 1. This is part 2. So please like, comment, share, and most importantly subscribe. If you want more videos like this, please let me know in the comment section and I will be sure to drop more videos like this one. Also, if you'd like me to create a lesson plan for you that is somewhat like this, just email me. I'll be putting my email in the description and we could work together. So thanks again for watching my video. Let's get into it. Entry event. The entry event is at the starting of your lesson, so it's your opening activity. It should recall the student's background knowledge. So for mine, I came up with an entry event that says students will be shown a physical diagram of a human body. You're going to explain all of that in your entry event. Whatever entry event you come up with, that's what you're going to explain. So I said students will be able to show a physical diagram of a human body. That those are the diagrams they bring in the classroom. The science teachers bring in the classroom, and those are the biology diagrams. you know what I'm saying. I will ask the whole class to tell me what they see. I will then have students volunteer to walk up to the diagram and point out 2 body parts they can identify and name, and ask them to name them. For my 2 English language speakers, I would ask them to say the body parts they identify in their native language. This will recall their prior knowledge that the body is made up of different parts. So remember, the entry event is basically the foundation. So you're basically having the students recall their prior knowledge. You want to see what the students know. So you're not going to teach a lesson here. You're just coming up with an opening activity, a fun opening activity to really prepare them for the lessons. That's what you're doing. You're basically preparing them for what they're about to learn. But you want to find out what they already know. So in this case, I'm testing what they already know. And their prior knowledge would be that the body is made up of different parts. Because what we're doing is the human body parts. But the difference is we're going to look at the internal body parts, and they're going to point out to me the external body parts on that diagram that I brought in the class. Okay, so next, the direct instruction. So the direct instruction, you're going to explain exactly how you're going to go about teaching your lesson. So I will begin the lesson by explaining to the student first, before I read. The direct instruction, you're going to tell me step by step what you're going to teach your students. So, for example, if I'm going to teach numbers, I'm going to say I'm going to teach your students how to count, blah 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 blah. You're giving me the direct steps to how you're going to have this, like what you're teaching the students. So okay, let me read mine. I'll begin the lesson by explaining to the students that there are internal and external parts of the body. So this is going to have them rethink, we just did that at the beginning of class. So they're going to understand what I'm getting to here. So I will explain to them that the parts of the diagram they pointed out were the external parts of the body. I will then explain that the internal parts of the body have organs. I will state that organs are internal body parts that are vital to keep you alive. And then I will proceed to listing examples of organs: the brain, the heart, the lungs, stomach, muscles, and skeleton. If you realize, back to my standards. Distinguish human body parts and their basic function. So you can see that I am really doing going with the standards. So everything about your lesson plan should be about the standards, and your learning outcome should be achieved at the end. So to continue, the next thing I'm going to do is I will have students take out their science textbooks and turn to chapter 5, where as a whole class they will read aloud about the functions of the brain, heart, lungs. I will ask the students to view the images of the body parts in their textbooks ask them follow-up questions about organs they read about. So vision it. This is everything I'm doing in my classroom to teach the lesson. So that's what I'm doing. If you can see, this can be checked off because I did this in my lesson. So the students were able to read chapter 5, blah blah blah. So that's what I said on here in the in the direct instruction. All right, on to the next. The experiential learning is what students will do as a whole class, in group and individually. So these three things should be in the experiential learning. You're stating what they're going to do as a whole class, what they're going to do in groups, and what they're going to do individually. So number 1, a graphic organizer will be attached to the board. Each student will work together as a whole class to beat the timer. So every student will receive a function of one of the human body parts, and each student will have 30 seconds to place the given functions under its correct human body part on the graphic organizer. So, as you can see, this part can also be checked off because I did this in my lesson. Students who was able to match human body parts with the basic functions. That's what I said here. And if you realize, this is a whole class activity because I said each student will work together as a whole class. The students are working together to beat the timer. So just imagine the students getting a function and they have 30 seconds to rush up to the board, and they have 30 seconds to rush up to the board and put that function that I gave them on the graphic organizer under the correct body part. So if that describes the function of the heart, they're going to put it under the heart. If it describes the function of the brain, they're going to put it under the brain. Depends on what function they received from me. Okay, so next, number 2, in groups of 6, students will be given construction paper. They will use their textbook to help them come up with a definition for each of the human body parts. They will then use those flashcards to construct a word wall, given the terms, and these will be displayed in the classroom. So, as you can see, this is a group activity. So I already have my all class activity, and now I have my group activity. And as you can see, they were able to construct a word wall because I mentioned it in here. Now, the last one, individual students will be given a diagram of the human body parts that was taught. Each student will be called to the teacher's desk where they will explain the difference between the human body parts. So this is an individual activity. Each student is going to come up, will be given a diagram paper of a diagram of body part, and they will come up to me as a teacher and they will explain the difference between those body parts. So I'm checking their understanding. Basically, this is an activity. So this will go for my individual activity right here. And as you can see, they were able to explain the difference. Okay, so my closure. So the closure should be short and spicy. You're basically ending your lesson off. So what I came up with is each student will be given an index card where they will write one fun fact they learned in class. So it's short, it's spicy, and it checks their understanding. Did they learn anything in class today? You could even do an exit ticket. You could ask them to name one thing they learned, one thing they wish they had learned, one thing they didn't understand, all those stuff. So you could think about good closures. For the accommodations or modifications, the evaluating section, you're basically going to remember earlier I told you about I had gifted students and I had students with Down syndrome. So, and I also had Spanish students as well. So what accommodations or modifications you're going to do for these students. You have to help them, so you have to meet them where they're at. You have to make everything easier for them so that they can learn in class. So what are you going to do to let them learn in class? So I said that gifted students will use laptops to research and write 3 additional facts that they have not learned about the human body parts if they're finished ahead of time. So, gifted students are extremely smart. So you don't want them just sitting in the class, not doing nothing. So you have to have that backup work for them. So in case they're finished ahead of time with the class activities, you have something else for them to do. For the students with Down syndrome, they will be given extra time in the whole class activity. Because remember, I mentioned a whole class activity with the I mentioned it here with the graphic organizer and everything. So I'm gonna give them extra time, and they'll be given breaks in between class. You can search up classroom accommodations for Down syndrome students or anyone, ADHD, autism, anything you want, you can find on the internet. So you just search it up. Classroom accommodations, classroom modifications, it's up to you. Now for my Spanish speaking students, how are you gonna cater to your English language learners? So remember I told you I have a level 1 and a level 4 English language learner. So for my level 1 English language learner, I will give them extra time on the whole class activity so they could process in their brain. I would have them receive a translated version of the text of the science textbook, what we're reading. I will place them in groups together with each other. I will speak slowly and clearly during instruction. I will give them plenty of visuals for the level 1, and for my level 4, I will probably give them example when necessary. The formative and summative has to do with how you have assessed your students through the lesson. So for the formative, it's this happens during the lesson. The summative usually happens at the end. So the formative, what I did was after the class science textbook read aloud, I had asked the students some follow-up questions to check their understanding, as I said here, right here. Ask some follow-up questions about organs they read about. So that's a formative assessment because I did it during the lesson. Students will be called to the teacher's desk, blah, blah, blah. This is also what I did during the lesson. So that would also be a formative. For the summative now, students will be given an end of chapter test. So that could be a summative. If they did a project, you could say students did a project in which they will receive a final grade on, something like that. So summative and formative is what you've done to check the students' understanding during the lesson. For the reteach, you're basically going to tell how you're going to reteach the students who have not grasped the information or who still don't understand. So what I came up with, if students have not grasped the content, I'll be having a mini lesson for the whole class, reteaching the content and showing the students an example model of each body part, human body part. So that is what I would have done. So as you can see with my whole lesson plan, everything is related to each other. There's nothing different out of the ordinary. I ensured everything correlated with my lesson plan. Clearly, after I've taught my lesson, everything I've explained here, clearly after I've done all of these things, each of these were done, we can conclude that I did everything. My students would have been able to read chapter 5. My students would have been able to explain difference. My students will match human body parts. These are all everything I mentioned in the lesson plan. So that's what makes the lesson plan successful, because that's what my students were able to do after I taught them, after I let them do the activity, all those stuff. Also, I ensured that my standards were related to each other, so it made my lesson plan flowed. And yes, basically I just made everything correlate. So when you're writing a lesson plan, everything has to correlate with each other, basically. So guys, if you need any help from me, please comment in the comment section. I'm gonna put my email address in the description, everythingeducatorrelated@gmail.com. I'm gonna put it in the description below. So if you want me to do a lesson plan for a price for you, I will. Say you're lazy and you want somebody to do your lesson plan for you, as long as it's familiar, if it's like this, you could email me and I could do one for you, and you just pay me, because nobody's doing nothing for free. If you have any questions, please comment down below and be happy to answer any questions you have. And this is the end of my video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want me to do another video like this, please let me know in the comment section, because I can create other lesson plans and we can go over it. So please let me know. If you want me to create a lesson plan for you, as I said before, just email me, I'll shoot you the price and we could get going. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.